highest week in Symmetry history. And guys, we're not even talking about the final week of the final turn-in of a month here. So, man, we're about to blow the roof off this thing, guys. We're approaching just unprecedented numbers, almost doubling what we would have considered a record week no more than 2 years ago. Think about that. That's how fast the company's growing.
Blowing past it. Yep. Congratulations, everybody that's getting in on that action. And it's going to keep on getting a lot better. We got a good one lined up for you today. Senior Vice Presidents Mike and Sarah Pappas, a couple of our favorite people, with agency owners Gabby and Fred Roethlisberger. Not sure if there's any kin to Big Ben Roethlisberger. We'll have to find out in the chat. Maybe they'll tell you in just a second. We do have a couple of announcements to make before we turn it over to Brian. Casey and I've got an important meeting at 1:30. Unfortunately, we have to jump out of. We've been knocking out rocks and sales rocks and all kind of good stuff, so we got to get back to that. But let's hit a couple of announcements. There's a big one, Casey.
Yes.
One that deserves much celebration. We have a new direct, Mr. Jordan Hunt. And by all indications, absolutely, the team stepped up and kicked butt for Jordan, who had a lot going on. I want to say, Spivey, was it 4-year anniversary?
Hit it on
4-year company. 4-year, brand new into insurance. 4 years later, we'll have to get him on a call to kind of talk about what his experience is like now. Had a baby during this run too, which, as you might suspect, takes a little time. And still, and despite all these things going on, he took a little bit of time off to be a proud daddy, and still the team rallied around and put out a ton of production to blow past that number. I love this picture of Jordan. It's got kind of a little Zoolander model look to it.
That's all like, kind of profile.
Like a model there. It's like a profile.
Best caption wins, Brandon?
Ooh, that's a great idea. All right, everybody blow up the Q&A. We need the best caption that we can share for this Jordan Hunt picture. What is the caption? Maybe it's something he's thinking. Maybe it's something he just did. Maybe it's, who knows?
I'll tell you what, he's one of the most beloved individuals. Team loves him. Cross hierarchies love him. Mm-hmm. Has got a tremendous heart. Such huge character. Reviewing the numbers that his team produced in this 120 run, guys, just some unbelievable effort. Over 11 new riders in the last month, guys. Over 80% net place production on his run as well. So intentional leadership, taking care of clients along the way, doing things the right way, guys. Just a phenomenal job, Jordan. And to your beautiful bride, congratulations to you and your young family and all the many other lives out there that have been impacted by your presence with us, buddy. We love you, Jordan.
These captions are hilarious.
Yeah, there's some good ones in here. The one that keeps popping up is that's the one I think of too. Is you talking to me? You talking to me? Somebody said,
you never met Jordan in person, I can promise you, he is not somebody you would speak to if you did not know him.
Nope, he's not the type of catcher
he's sitting on swole, as some would say.
He's swole, and he was a great catcher. Played, I want to say, played even a little bit of minor league baseball. Not the catcher that you're going to try to lower your shoulder and run over. Don't recommend that you do that. One says, "Thank God I'm no longer in the car business." That's right.
I love it.
It's got the kind of vibe for me that's like, I don't always hit 120, but when I do,
I like
that's
that.
exactly what I was thinking too. I don't always make babies and hit 120 in the same month. But,
right.
Very nice, Jordan. Very nice, Jordan.
Somebody said that's exactly why I'm calling.
I love it.
Oh man, these are some good ones. We will get these saved and over to you, Jordan. I think Jordan may be in the midst of having a little bit of a party, a little bit of a celebration, and
as they should.
I hope so, man, because you not only over the last 90 days, man, but the last 4 months, you have killed it, and the company is forever grateful for having you with us. And man, we're really looking forward to how many of these folks you're going to be able to pop out just like you. So,
and it's accelerating, much like agency owners, back in the day, it took us a few years to even get to 10 agency owners as a company. And, having people hit the very top of the company, become direct to the company is certainly a big milestone, but we're starting to see it more and more now. I mean, would not surprise me one bit. We fast forward, 2 years from now and we have a direct popping out every single month, if not more, which is really cool.
Yeah. Well said. And of
Got
course,
a couple in the hopper right now, Casey. A couple of them for it right now.
We got a bunch. Yep.
of course, there's somebody else that needs some congratulating on that too, because we also, because of Jordan's new promotion, means that there's a new managing partner in town. Congratulations, Brian Delaney. We used to have a saying, and I guess we still have a saying, 3 to be free. Really, to be clear, that means 3 to be financially free. And that is certainly the case with Mr. Delaney. He and I were joking a good bit yesterday that there's more rhymes that we need to keep going on, because 3 to be free was never intended to mean that, whoop, I'm out, I'm free. And Brian, of everybody knows that, of course. So we talked about 4 to be a little bit more, 5 to thrive, 7 before you get to heaven. I mean, there's a lot that we can do there. So, but congratulations, Brian. Your leadership is it's a big asset to the company. Certainly your organization is a testament to everything that's possible here, and the people that you're breaking out, the leadership you're providing, and the impact that you're making is it's huge. And we appreciate you, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Been a fun ride with Brian for the last 10 and a half, 11 years.
Yeah, that's been awesome. It's been
crazy
amazing
to be able to
He
watch
started out
Brian
coming
grow.
into that office that Casey just showed, right?
Yeah.
There when it was in the corner office.
Oh no, he was
Might have been up
downstairs.
there, he was downstairs. Yeah.
He was back here. Actually, Brian hung out some in what was now Mark Palmer's office with Pritchett, as Brian was our second, Casey, if you remember, our second new agent mentor.
That's right.
And he didn't last as new agent mentor as long as Pritchett did, because I think he had the benefit of seeing Edward stop being the new agent mentor and like explode. And he was like, I think I'm good. I think I'm ready to go do that. And he did it too. So
that was
congratulations.
That was the point of the position too. That's
Absolutely. We will have a lot more promotions next week. We were able to verify these before the snafu this week. So I know there are a lot of people that did get promotions. Managers, make sure that we don't miss them next week. Get them into the correct department so that we can recognize everyone next week. We'll be right back on track.
And of course, we can't forget to mention Mr. Edward Pritchett.
Of course,
the godfather of the whole hierarchy here, agency. Got the whole thing started. So I don't think it necessarily changes his level of leadership since Brian's in depth, but yeah.
Casey, it's funny when we were putting these levels of leadership together, probably, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years ago, time runs together. I don't think we anticipated as many people kind of moving up them as quickly as they have. And it's been asked a few times, and maybe it's something we should consider. Is it time to unveil a few more levels of leadership?
We have one specifically in mind, but we're not ready to talk about it yet.
Just yet. Can't talk about it just yet. All right. Congratulations, everybody. Couple of announcements before we turn it over to Mr. Brian Williamson. Protect the Protector, My Health 2.0. Protect your biggest asset, your health. Save the date, April the 28th at 11 o'clock. Make sure that you get in there to understand how Protect the Protector Group voluntary benefits are going to be rolled out. It's going to be going next week, next Thursday.
Hey, Brandon, next week on the national call too, we'll have an individual that's going to join us that'll give you a sneak preview in all that's going to be discussed next Thursday, and just a little peek behind the curtain, guys. We're going to have an additional offer for those of you 1099 agents out there that are interested in finding a potential solution for health protection for your family. We're going to be rolling out an additional option for all of you to consider. Once again, we'll never be pushing or recommending any one particular health plan for your family. You got to make the best decision for you and yours. But stay tuned next Wednesday for a 5-minute introduction to a new option for anybody out there looking for health insurance. Followed by next Thursday, we will have an in-depth details on that program and how it sits.
Love it. I'm getting blown up with some texts over here. A lot of congratulations are going around. I would recommend that everybody that's on this call right now, stop what you're doing. There's a very important message. Isn't that how it goes? Get registered for some of these spring tour events. Delaney was the perfect example with Ayers and Sicily, Casey, about 9-10 years ago. We're going on tour, man, and we're hitting, a few more stops than this, probably 7 or 8 stops. And every single step of the way, we look up and there's Delaney.
Yep.
There's Ayers and Sicily. And they weren't even at a point in their business yet where they could afford to fly to all these locations. So they were loading up in the Nissan Maxima, I think it was, may have been an Altima, I can't remember now, but man, they were showing up everywhere that we were. We may have been in Indianapolis. The next week we were in Boston or somewhere. Every step of the way they were doing. It's that important.
Yeah.
And if you want to expedite your growth, you really do this. You show up, you engage. You get to as many of these meetings as you can and fill yourselves. They were showing up to meetings where they didn't even have people there.
Yep. They wanted to have people there. And that's how you and I came up in this business too. We back ourselves in the corner. We book the meeting. We plan to go to the meeting. We book flights or plan on traveling there. And then that forces you to say, well, if I'm going to be there, if I'm going to be in Baltimore, Maryland on April 27th, I'm going to try to have 5 people there. I'm going to try to have 10 people there. And that's just kind of the mindset is, you got to go to kind of understand how to build this business, how to become a better salesperson, how to become a better agency owner in our company. And so it's for you, but it's also a way for you to get people there because, these spring tours are designed not just to give all of you guys the best training and support we can, but to also be a bit of a funnel towards our national conference event, which is coming up as well, as you guys know. So we got Baltimore, April 27th, Dallas, Texas, May 25th, Orlando, Florida, June 1st, June 15th in Vegas, and Indy and June 22nd. So let's just continue to build. I know Atlanta was a packed house, but let's continue to build towards these events. Put them on your calendar, promote them, drum up recruiting ads, whatever you have to do to kind of get heat around these areas. All right.
Yep. Casey, we've got 1 minute before we've got to bounce. So
Yes.
We have an amazing call with some amazing women next week on with the Connect, Meredith Ellison, Michelle Purdy. Get there, watch that one. You're going to love it. Everything's leading up, as Casey said, to national conference. Very important message for national conference. Casey, I tell you what I'm going to do. BW, why don't you take over the share?
Yep.
I've got to jump real quick because I need 5 minutes before this meeting. Casey, if you want to wrap up, then I'll grab you in just a second. Does that work?
Let's do it,
All
buddy.
right, everybody. Congratulations on a great week. Talk to you guys soon.
All right. So BW, you got that up there again. Let's talk about conference for a second. Everybody's getting excited for that. In fact, BW, you, me, and Joe were in a meeting this morning.
That's right.
Planning. So full steam ahead for us behind the scenes on conference. And I know full steam ahead for everyone out there as we're, heading for a sold out event in Denver, Colorado. Couple of the main messages on this briefly is just we need everyone's help in assigning the tickets. If you have an owner's pack, we need your help in getting those tickets assigned. So the team, the corporate team behind the scenes is really asking for y'all's help on that. So if you can do that, please do that as soon as you possibly can. And then the other thing is just make sure you get your room blocked, because the closer hotels, especially this Hyatt that you're seeing in the picture right there, would be the preferred hotel. It's I don't think it's connected to the convention center, but it's just right there. It's definitely the closest one. It's probably where most of the action will be. A lot of the energy, a lot of the heat will be at the Hyatt there. So we would love for as many of you guys as possible to book that Hyatt, but we do have a recommended lodging list. We actually have room blocks, and for those of you that have ever booked an event, know that a room block actually means the company putting their name on the line for the room block is their name's on the dotted line there. And so we would love for everyone to help us as a company hit those room blocks and fill those hotels up. I know it's sometimes tempting to look at Airbnbs and stuff like that, but trust us, you want to be near the energy. You want to be close to the conference center. There's a lot of stuff, between the general session and some of the workshops and stuff that we're working on, parties, receptions, stuff like that. So you're going to be one close to the action and close to the energy there. So just really excited about Denver, guys. It's been way too long since we've all been together as a group. And I know we had a virtual conference, and I know we got some spring tours here, but there's nothing quite like the Symmetry conference. And knowing what I know and what a couple of you guys know behind the scenes here about what we're going to be rolling out and what we're going to be teasing, rolling out, updating, all of that stuff is going to happen at this event. So really, really want all of you guys to be there and get as many people with you as possible. B-Dub, Spivey, anything to add on conference before I jump to?
I think not, other than just the content that we were working on this morning, just re-engaging that, and is super pumped for the experience it's going to be to transform lives.
Yeah, just the meetings we've gotten to see behind the scenes, some of the things we've got on tap are going to be unbelievable. And so many people through COVID has not been able to travel, and we've not been able to do in these conferences, and you just don't quite understand what it can mean to you and your business and the recruiting aspect. So I just highly encourage anybody out there, if you're new to us, you're trying to figure out, is conference right for you? Yes, it is. More importantly, conference is right for anybody you can think of that needs to understand what it is that you have found, and let us help you communicate that. The more individuals you get to conference, the more opportunity you have to have an explosive agency in 2022. Get there and get your friends registered.
That's right. Hit the done button. I got to jump, guys. I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Casey. Spivey, why don't you talk to us about upcoming events, and then I'll take it over.
Yeah, we got the Carrier webinar tomorrow in our normal slot. It's actually going to be hosted by Senior Vice President of Activation, General Manager, MyQuility, Ethan Drum. We have had so many success stories piling out on the Quility RX. And guys, it is there's been such tremendous impact made for so many of our clients and savings in their pharmaceutical costs. And I know Ethan has been ecstatic. He's going to be joined tomorrow with the Managing Vice President, Brad Gainey. If you haven't met Brad Gainey, one of the true incredible human beings on this planet, and so fortunate to be in business with him, sharing his experience and best practices. So make sure you don't miss on that, guys and gals. Monday sales training hosted by Mr. Zach Little, Victoria Shue, and Nate Binyar on connecting the dots. Don't miss that on the Monday sales training call. And then, of course, next Tuesday at 11 a.m., Mr. Mike Resma on the debt-free LIVIN.
All right. Love it. All right, guys. So I'm going to take a few minutes before we hand over. Gosh, my computer's bugging. Before we hand it over to our amazing senior vice presidents, Sarah and Mike Pappas, just to talk to you about a couple things. We are launching these coaching groups at different times throughout our calendar year. And last week we rolled out a group called Staffing Simplified. And all I want to say to you today, you don't need to get lost in the weeds of all the details of this slide. There's going to be registration being pushed out on HQ, but we've got plenty of people signed up, so we're not trying to fill any seats. But in case you missed it, one of the things that happens in every leader's life is if you're a growing leader, you will hit the ceiling. And one of the things that we need to do in order to break through that ceiling is to learn how to delegate and elevate. We need to put people around us. Ashley and Tyler did a great job on the builders call talking about this. We need to start extending ourselves, building extensions of ourselves through staff. Chris Maslin is VP at the Biltmore. He oversees 2,200 employees in all sorts of areas of talent acquisition, talent development, organization development. And he's the founder of the Center, which trains other organizations in the Biltmore's best practices. And he happens to be an expert in the area of hiring, staffing, managing people, recruiting, all of that. So we're going to be launching this coaching group. And if you are a key leader above, this is a part of our overall kind of Symmetry system that we've launched called Summit. That's our proven process to get to the top of this company. This is going to be one sort of key element of that. This is our one-stop shop for how do you learn how to hire, right? Is the bottom line. So how do you learn how to hire? How do you learn how to put the right people in the seats? How do you learn how to interview? Because frankly, not all of us have a background in that, or we're trained in that. So I would encourage you, if that resonates, you'll get signups pushed out. You'll be able to see those. And if not, you can email coaching@quility.com with any questions. What I do want to highlight right now is we have with us Mr. Justin Finney. You can go ahead and unveil. And I'm going to go back to that slide in a second. As well, you'll be able to register through HQ, but if you want to take a screenshot, the little URL is down there. I put it in a tiny URL. So it's tinyurl.com/FinneyUp. So if somebody wants to write that in the chat as well while I'm talking, that would rock. But these coaching groups that we've launched, this one is called Sales Cycle 101. And this is for brand new agents, and you're just getting off the ground, and you want an external resource to really walk with you and work on your mindset, sharpen your saw for how do you actually show up and win. This is an excellent opportunity for you, and I'll show you why in a second. As well, we have our 10-week challenge that is launching in May. Both of these, Sales 101 and the 10-week challenge, have 3 different time slots that you can sign up for. And this is for, like, if you've written 6 apps and you're on your way to team leader, anywhere in that range, this is our offering for that phase of the business. Now, without getting lost in the weeds of this, I want to show this slide to you because we had our business intelligence team jump into our data of, like, what are these participants experiencing that are going through these Sales 101 and 10-week challenge courses that we've put together. Because anything that we're building, we always want to be able to look at the return on investment for you, and is it actually producing results? Because if it's not, Justin's going to stay up all night and figure out how to make it better. We're going to find a way to position it different, learn what's working, what's not working. But if you see this on the left-hand side, you're seeing the 10-week challenge placed totals, and the neon green is before the cohort, the gray is during the cohort, and then the green, darker green, is after the cohort. So after the 10-week period. And so this is your place business results, and this is your submit business results for the 10-week challenge. So it's kind of, I should start on the right, submit business first, right? And then what was placed. And same thing for Sales 101, this 6-week experience before, during, and after. Now, this is a reflection of our top performers. So think of it like this is the top 10% of performers in these groups. In general, though, we saw an increase for everyone on average throughout both of these coaching groups. And during the time, especially, it spiked up. Afterwards, for some people, it went down a little, which only shows the importance of actually engaging with somebody and staying engaged and activated. But these are phenomenal results that I think Justin's been able to serve our organization with. So Justin, you can go ahead and unveil. And I just wanted to dialogue with you for a few minutes before we get Mike and Sarah leading us today. So good to see you. It's been a long time because you've been busy leading our coaching groups, and we haven't had a chance to catch up. So good to see you.
Happy birthday, man.
Thanks, bro. How's things out on the Pac Northwest today up in Washington?
It's awesome.
Good.
Changing lives this morning.
Good. Glad to hear that. All right. So let me ask you, I'm going to ask you 2 questions. So the first question is, from your perspective as a coach, because quite honestly, we've heard from a lot of our agents on this, why they think it's impactful and all of that. But what do you think agents are doing differently that's creating that kind of result in the way they're serving and protecting families and impacting people and seeing those kind of results? What do you think they're doing differently? What do you think they're learning that's really making a difference?
I think the biggest thing is their confidence and their vision. The next thing would be what they're doing specifically every single day. So we create a specific roadmap at the end of each day, 15 minutes to plan out the next day. If there's any white space in there, we start filling it up. And we just get a reality conversation with ourselves about what's easy and what's hard. And when they start to get that association, phoning is easy. Phoning's easy. Letting people down is hard. I need to have that reality conversation. So I think that's the key, is planning out the next 24 hours and having a hard conversation with ourselves about what we want. What do I want? and planning out the next 24 hours and putting the action in there that's actually going to help me get what I want. And does my behavior and my commitment back up that? So that's a complicated question, but there's very simple things that we can do to get the life that we want. Okay. First, we need to know what we want. Second is, what's my commitment to get what I want? Third is, does my behavior and my habits back up that commitment? And is the next 24 hours going to show that? So if I had like a Netflix reality TV show and Todd Spivey's my agent, and I'm like, episode 1, season 1, right here, Todd Spivey at 6 a.m. What is he doing? And when they start rolling like that every day, they plan out their next day and they start to tighten up 15, 20 hours of income producing activity that they weren't doing before, their life changes. So it's just totally them doing it. It's just unleashing what they have inside to attack what's important instead of letting fear get in the way.
Yeah. Well, you've certainly done an excellent job, and I wish we had more time, but I want to make sure we give Sarah and Mike and Roethlisberger Nation the time they need. But you've done such a good job with really, I think, I'm gonna use the word like putting some meat on the bones, if you will, of the details of how to activate in that way, right? That's one of the areas of your strength is not just, like you said, confidence and vision. You know, as an agent's confidence increases, which is absolutely true in our research and work, we see over time, you know, you start out, you're not really sure what you're doing, and then your confidence begins to increase. And then putting that vision in place, you've been able to take those kind of concepts and really put meat on the bone and actually help people make that happen, right? Make it a reality in their life. So we so appreciate what you're doing and how, you know, it's all very tightly aligned with our summit journey from top to bottom of the company. So we appreciate you customizing for us. Any final thoughts? Anything on your mind today that you want to deposit before we pass the baton here?
I would just tell people to figure out what they want, get their commitment level to that, and focus on the next 24 hours. Be in a hurry to get your vision, man.
Good.
Don't waste time. Don't waste time. It's an honor to serve this group.
Yeah.
Truly
well,
is.
We're all the better for it. So, and I love your Focus 24 system. You know, again, just final thought, Justin's, you know, even this 15 minutes at the end of the day, all that's baked into Summit, right? We call it the Ivy Lee method, right? Justin's Focus 24 productivity system that he teaches, right? It's all about getting that next day blocked out. We're teaching that in Summit. Like all of it's very tightly aligned. And so, you know, I'm going to be really, in 18 months from now, the kind of sizzle that we have and the effectiveness of all of these systems working together is going to be next level. So appreciate you being with us, Justin. Have a great rest of your day. And now we get to unveil Mike and Sarah Pappas. Todd, you want to help me introduce these amazing, hard-charging, energetic, just embodiment of all things Symmetry values, perfect blend of competency and chemistry and positive energy. Like I could go on and on about this whole crew, but
you want me to introduce them, but you're going to take all the awesome adjectives in the dictionary?
Well, you got to put that more detail on it. That you got to help me here. So anyway, no, this is an easy introduction, but go ahead and give up some props for Senior Vice President.
Everybody, not only just incredible human beings and two individuals that have been with this company and influenced this company in the direction we're going now so many times behind the scenes. Mike and Sarah has been integral in closed door meetings that were shaping the future and conversations about where this business is, where the business needed to go. Their portion in part, guys, and taking us from a kneecap to a virtual, over 80% of each week in a virtual world is so much influenced by their contributions. Not only that, guys, just the spirit and love and the personality that this power couple brings to Quility. So many of you have felt the love and the impact from this organization in so many ways. So I definitely want to not take up too much of their time, but I will say this to Sarah and Mike. Thank you both so much. To Gabby and Fred, heard so much about you through these two individuals a couple times here in recent calls too, and appreciate the influence you're having. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Miss Sarah.
Thank you so much for that amazing introduction, Todd. And Brian, thank you as well. Happy birthday. You don't look a day over 35. I don't know how you do it. Whatever skin cream you're using, just put it in the chat. But guys, we are so blessed and honored to be asked to speak into Symmetry Nation today. Mike and I are just pinch ourselves every day that we get to be a part of this amazing opportunity. And so shout out and props go to our founders, Brian, Casey, and Brandon, for creating this opportunity and sharing the wealth of opportunity. The topic of today's call is the power of decision. All right. We believe that business growth is tied to the quality of the decisions that we make. Writing your first application is a decision that is made, right? Becoming an SNA is the matter of making a decision to become an SNA, right? Seasoned new agent, writing your first 6 apps in 6 weeks. And as we're going to see in a few minutes, a great example, becoming an agency owner is just simply a decision. So the opposite of decision is actually procrastination. How many of us have been there, right? If you've got procrastination in a certain area of your life, that is a big clue for you to dig into that. There's a decision underneath your procrastination. What is that? And one of the tools that Mike and I have used over the years and we teach to our team is actually a tool that was taught to us through our coaching with giants. And it's called the Peace Index. So I'd love to just really quick share my screen, just throw it up there for a visual and make sure y'all can see that. This is what the Peace Index looks like. It evaluates these 5 areas of your life. It evaluates your purpose. That's tied to your calling, what you feel that you're supposed to be doing. Are you waking up with purpose every morning? Are you just kind of flailing out there? Place, that's where you live, where you work, right? Your city, your state, your country, right? How do you feel about the place that you're in? People, who you live with, who you work with, who you do life with. How does that feel for you? And then provision and personal health. One of these circles, when you look at this for yourself, is going to be a leading indicator of an area that you need to work on. If you've got an area on your Peace Index that's lower than all the others, that's an area that you need to work on that really invites some new decisions that can be made. And one of the biggest decisions that Mike and I made most recently in our business that affected all 5 of those circles was back in December of 2019. Actually, it was a few years ago. We signed a 3-year lease on some office space. And now the beauty of this business, I just want to just disclaimer here, the beauty of this business is that we don't need a lot of overhead, okay? I'm not advocating that everyone rush out and get an office. This was the best decision for us at that time as it pertained to our Peace Index, right? Having a place to go to that wasn't our home was actually a really positive thing for Mike and I at the time. So think about this. We made this decision December of 2019, moved into our brand new office January of 2020, and then COVID hit, right? So literally like the first few months, it was literally like me and Beth Maddox coming into the office every day, and COVID hits, and then all of a sudden I'm coming into an empty office for several months. But having that office, having committed to that office, we signed a lease. It wasn't like we could just stop going and paying for that, right? So the fruits of that decision actually came about a year later in 2021. Having an office made it possible for some really cool things to happen. I'm going to hand it over to you, Mike.
Thanks, Sarah. And again, just thank you, Brandon, Casey, Brian, Todd, Brian, for having us on. And we are Mike and Sarah Pappas, direct to Symmetry. And today, as Sarah said, that power of decision, we're going to just leave that decision we made of getting an office hanging for a moment, because as we introduce Gabby and Fred Roethlisberger, who are direct to RAD, Regional Agency Director, Beth Maddox out of Franklin, Tennessee here as well. As we introduce them, there was a decision, Gabby. You've been with Symmetry for about, what, 5 years now, 4 years?
Yeah, almost 4.5 years.
4.5 years. And around a year ago, you made a decision to become an AO. So what was different? That wasn't the first time you'd said, I'm gonna become an agency owner. So what was different that go around for you?
So again, like Mike said, you stole my intro.
Oh,
My name is Gabby Roethlisberger. I am from Houston, Texas. I am direct to the one and only Beth Maddox. And I feel like a lot of people can probably relate to wanting something, having a goal and it just continuing to stay on the goal list, right? And that was me with agency owner. I knew what I wanted. I knew I wanted to own a business, and it wasn't happening. And so your question was, what was different from then? I finally made the decision that enough was enough. There's really two things that I can think of that really pushed me in that way. And I don't even know if he knows this. So Steve Barnett, if you're listening, you're probably going to laugh. But I think it was at the end of 2020, Steve Barnett, he's an agency owner. He hit agency owner and he's sidelined to me. He's direct to Beth as well. But it was really seeing somebody so close to me make it, right? It made it not feel so far away. And it brought that belief back that like, hey, this is possible. And it was one of those things where it's like, if he can do it, I can do it. And I was also pretty mad that he was Beth's first agency owner. That was supposed to be mine. But it was him and him, pushing for agency owner that made me feel like it wasn't so far away. And
so
and
little
really
little
the
competition.
Little competition, healthy competition. I'm competitive. And the next thing that I look back and I think back to is the incentive trip that the Pappas put on. It was the first incentive trip for the Pappas agency. And the qualifications were for where I was and the contract that I was at. It was very high challenge. I had to become an agency owner to even get in the door to make that trip. And it was really the thought of not being on that trip that was what really drove me of something needs to change. And it was just that decision that something's going to change because I'm not going to be on that trip. So really, I look back, Mike, and those are the two, I feel like triggers for me to start taking ownership and push forward.
I love it. Now, to give everyone some perspective, here are some stats of now Gabby at the time, and Fred, we're about to introduce the effect of that decision that it had on you. But at the time when you made the decision to become an agency owner, how many unique writers did you have?
Me.
One.
Just me, one.
And in fact, for all of Q1 last year, you had one unique writer.
That's right.
You had one unique writer and 16 interviews and 3 packets out and 3 licensed packets back for the entire quarter. And I share that simply because, look, guys, we all come to Symmetry and sometimes it's easy to think, oh, they're different. Like if I had their journey, then yeah, I would be where they are. And so Fred, would you share with us kind of, now you at the time when Gabby made this decision, I'll just say this to make it succinct, but you were in the oil and gas industry You were not in Symmetry. You had a six-figure steady income going. And so for you, what was the effect of Gabby's decision to become an agency owner?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Fred Roethlisberger, agency owner with Gabby, here in Franklin, Tennessee, based out of Houston, Texas, direct to the great Beth Maddox. And really when I saw Gabby make that decision, I'd always been kind of the supportive spouse, but it was really the first time that I actually pictured us doing this together. And really that decision that she made lined up with, last March, she was going to be doing a boot camp here in Houston, and Sarah was here and Beth was here in Houston. And that Friday, Gabby had earned a happy hour that the Pappas has put on with some other masters. And the guest speaker was Mark Palmer. So Gabby makes this decision.
Shout out to Mark Palmer.
And I go to this happy hour and I'm listening to Mark and his vision and Symmetry's vision for where this company is going. And it clicked of, I knew what my life was like 10 years from now if I stayed where I was. And I walked into the house and I told Sarah, I got to meet with Mike because he had been where I was, and met with Mike. And, I was an engineer, so I brought 17 slides of, my bonuses, my stocks, when I should leave. And we got to the end and Mike goes, where are you going to be in 5 years? I go, with Gabby at Symmetry. He goes, what are you doing? And he goes, Fred, we're going to be on the Quilty stage in 5 years. And he goes, I'm going to slap you on the back. And I'm going to say, hey, are you good with that extra whatever little money you got by staying an extra couple of years? And he goes, if you are, great. But he goes, if you're not, let that sit in. And a day later, I went into my little employee hub and I used all my 6 weeks of vacation. Didn't tell anybody. That all got used up. And the next day I took Gabby out to dinner and I put in my 2 weeks and I slipped her a note and said, I fired my boss. Let's do this, Roethlisberger Agency.
I love it. And, this is the part in the story where people will often go, oh, well, it's all rainbows and unicorns after that. And so I want to just pause for a moment, and I'm going to share my screen real quick to share here what, most people look at the journey of success, what they think it is. You start with your current competence, you start growing, and then you get to your new competence. When in reality, what happens is we end up in what Casey likes to talk about as the pit of despair. We start with the current competence and we're looking at something new and we end up down here, in the pit of despair. And the reason we go down is because, to what got us here won't get us there. And so from that standpoint, any of you that have heard me talk or engage in anything outside of Symmetry, I talk a lot about flipping the coin and how it's about perspective and decision. It's the same coin, there's just two sides. And to me, we have a pit of despair. We also, though, have the opportunity for the valley of grace. And the difference between those two are, as our current competence, as we go down into the valley of grace, we understand, first off, we're moving, right? The pit of despair, it's a pit for a reason. We're stuck there. A valley is something we can move through. There's a purpose. There's a hope for us in it. And eventually, we have to deconstruct what we knew to learn new habits, to learn new competencies that then bring us to our new competence, in that. And so from that standpoint, I wanted to, let's see here. How do I stop sharing? Nope. Stop share. You'd think it's 2020. So from that standpoint, Fred and Gabby, was it all rainbows and unicorns for you? Up after, Gabby, you made a decision in January of 2021 to become an AO. June of 2021, you became an AO. Fred became full-time with you June of 2021. Has it just been, Lucky Charms since?
Lord, no. Yeah, this is the part of the story where it sounds like, we should leapfrog over that valley and ride off into the sunset of 120. And that's going to happen. But first, like you said, the Valley of Grace. And I remember you first showing me that, and it's just so brilliant. But it wasn't. I had this new business partner that I didn't know what to do with, right? I had never had a business partner. It was always me. And Casey talks about, that dog fight of when you become an agency owner, that's the dog fight. And we were fighting. I can say I was scared. We were going backwards. We were playing addition, right? We were playing the addition game. We hadn't learned multiplication yet. And we were just young leaders and being in what felt like the pit of despair of just learning the ropes. So one thing we did is invested in coaching, just knowing that we needed to grow fast. And I know Fred had his own struggles of going from employee to entrepreneur. It's just a totally different mindset. Fred, you want to share a little bit of kind of your struggle?
So, coming from the oil and gas industry of 100-hour work weeks, I went from that to entrepreneur, and it was awesome. And I had all this free time doing this. After the first month full time, I was an agency owner. I'm like, sweet. And I knew enough to know that I hadn't grown myself, right? I had seen Gabby grow herself with books and that, and I was able to really, dive into the Kick-Ass Crew with Michael Anthony and do that. And I downloaded Audible and started listening to books. And then all of a sudden I realized I wasn't doing any activity. I would do a few interviews here, I would do a few interviews there. And then all of a sudden the point came where I was in what I thought was that pit. And really the only thing that kept me moving was I had committed to self-improvement. And with the Kick-Ass Crew, and we just got to a point where we were so comfortable and things weren't changing, we were regressing. And I was at the gym, say November, and I was listening to Grant Cardone, Be Obsessed or Be Average. And he just talked about getting out of your comfort zone, and the peace index and everything just hit me. And I came home to Gabby and I go, we need to sell our house and move to Franklin, Tennessee. And after the initial shock of 30 seconds, that night we were on the phone with Beth and Mike and Sarah, and we were making a plan. We knew we needed to make a change, and we did it. So we made that decision to starting in January, get here to Franklin, Tennessee. And we knew where we wanted to be. And we knew that to part of getting there was getting around the people that were where we wanted to be. And that's getting here with Beth and Mike and Sarah. So, yeah.
And that was a huge decision for me, especially. Our house in Houston is 17 houses down from the house I grew up in, and I can throw a rock at my sister and brother-in-law's house that has my niece and 2 twin nephews that turned 2 this weekend, and we're not there. But the pain of and the desire to want more, and knowing that something needed to change, that's what drove us. And for us, that was the decision to move. Although that's not applicable to, everyone to just pick up and move, we do have a lot in our lives that we can take control of by just simply making a decision. For us, it was to get close to the fire. We want to get this thing rolling, right? And it's very easy, and I can speak from experience to just kind of coast here, unintentionally, just kind of coast here and not really get out of what you want out of Symmetry. And so that was the decision that we made. And, for some of the people on the call, it may be to stop playing it safe, right? And dive in, stop dipping your toe in it and dive in. For some people, the decision could be to book the flight, right? Back yourself into a corner, make it to a spring tour, hit the done button on conference in August. For some, it could be put in your 2 weeks like Fred and bet on yourself. But the reality is we're all kind of a decision away from changing our lives. You just have to make the decision. And we did it. We had our house on the market like Wednesday, and we talked about this Sunday. So it was a whirlwind, but I just am thankful that, you know, this office, going back to the y'all's decision, Mike and Sarah's decision to get an office, you know, we get to work with Sarah and Mike every day, some other locals here in Franklin. And it's such a blessing because I feel like we're finally treating our business like a business. And like Sarah said, that doesn't mean go out and buy an office. You know, some of this isn't applicable, but it does mean that you can take control of your life through just simple decisions. So.
Well, and that's so great, because you're exactly right, Gabby. It's you guys moving is the what, the underlying is the why. And the why was you two made a decision to commit to your success no matter what. You know, Sarah and I made a decision for us and our business. The words we heard from the last time Symmetry was together, from the stage that both of us walked away from, was staff up and get an office. That's what individually we knew for us, for our business, that was what was to do. And we went through a valley. I mean, you know, you talk about valley of despair, you know, or pit of despair. COVID hits, it's empty. We're like, crap, here's, you know, tens of thousands of dollars out the window, yet it was serving a greater purpose. And so I want to encourage everyone who's listening, who's watching right now, you get the choice. Okay. Life is about choices, and you get to choose what side of the coin. It's a 50-50. If we knew the future, we'd all win Powerballs and own islands, right? We don't know the future. It's all made up. 100% of our vision of the future is fiction. So why not choose to create a fictitious future that's beneficial and work towards it? Work towards it. Just flip that coin and work towards your future. So in closing, you know, Fred, Gabby, if there was one piece of advice, one word of encouragement you would give to agent, you know, an agency owner, someone who's new here, what would that piece of advice be for them?
I would say you've already made the most important decision to come here to Symmetry. And one thing that Mike told me 6 months ago, and it's the one post-it note I have, is this business is not for the fancy, it's for the gritty. So make that decision now to put in the work, to go take your dreams, to grab your dreams. You're building your own dreams here, so go out and get it.
Yeah, and mine would just be, you know, every direct to Symmetry, every person who's had success in Symmetry has gone through failures, through struggles, through their own valley of grace. And so whether that was here at Symmetry or prior to coming to Symmetry, I really want to speak to the new agents and those that may be struggling right now on the call in your journey, because y'all are the most important. Just stay the course. Okay, stick it out, persevere, because there is light at the end of the tunnel. I can promise you that. So just my words of encouragement are just to keep going and do not give up.
That's awesome. And just for context, your decisions, I would say, are fairly fruitful, because for year to date, 2021, you had written $54,000 last year. This year, your agency has done 210,000.
Wow.
Last year to date, you had 5 unique writers. This year, the Roethlisberger agency has 14 new writers. And I'm not even going to go into the recruiting, but the recruiting, you guys are dialing it up and honing it in. And we're so proud of you guys. So thank you, Symmetry, for allowing us to come on and share. And Brian,
powerful stuff. I'm just, those visuals, man, I'm digging your pit of despair, but more so that the valley of grace, man, being able to actually make a choice. And I mean, I know it's more than one, but I just read in the chat, one person said, all right, you're speaking my language, I'm flipping my coin, right? You guys have just made a massive impact in our company, as you always do, and we're thankful for you.
And great job, Fred and Gabby, so much. And thank you, as always, to the Pappas. And so so appreciative for you guys pouring in and always being there whenever called upon. And last thing I'll ask you, Mike and Sarah, was it worth it? Everything
Every
you went through?
penny.
Everything you
Sarah, what do you say?
I don't even know how to answer that question, because I would say 1,000 times over, it's worth every struggle. Absolutely.
Absolutely. We appreciate you guys so much always. And everybody, we look forward to seeing you again next week and talk real soon. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks so much, y'all. Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you all.